Welcome, Augie speaking, and welcome back to some Civilization World Cup highlights. This time we're going back to the final week in the finals between Nekst, Vigraem, and the Phillyboys. It was a best of three, so this is the first game. Very interesting game, a lot of action, but a lot of semi-action actually, so let's just jump straight into it. It was played on a map which we call Lakes. Very interesting map. A lot of room for all the players, so we will see all the players putting up their sim in place, and most of the spawns were very strong. Here we see Third Ferguson playing America for the Philly Boys. Very interesting how he spawned with this content as well. Or overall, you'll see that there's going to be a lot of action between the Cree player and the Permanent player, which we'll see later. Here we see Destroyer playing Mapuche for the Russian team. He will have also very interesting sims, so we'll keep an eye on what he's doing. To the north here we have Auden again for the Russian. He will play Scotland. Again, very interesting. We'll do a rush to Plains to try to finish this game, you'll see. And we have, you see, Pellman, probably the star for this game here, playing Cree, which, just like I said, will put pressure on Persia right to his right. Very interesting way also how he plays the start with a lot of Chiquita to try to put some pressure on. To the south, we had Rome, which was played by Tordred here for the Philly Boys. Again, very strong sim, but it will not be as notable as the other players. And Georgia here was played as well. So very interesting how it all panned out. The last Russian player was Kolento here, playing on Egypt here with all his floodplains, so very good. Red Phoenix was the Persian player here, playing for the Philly Boys. So you also see how he will deal with the offense. He was next to his ally Georgia, so it shouldn't be too bad on this side. Two wonders, Singili Bemrahaha, which have a little bit impact, but it's mostly the lake, Red Bell Lake, which will have a huge impact this game, so we'll keep an eye on that. City States, a lot of impact. The goal City States especially will give a lot of goal to the Russian team, but what the one sign City State will be in favor of the Philly Boys, which will keep them in the game. We're also following the Cree Scouts in the early game here. We gained a lot of experience against Red Phoenix here, and we also find the Red Lake, and they actually will have a major impact, so that's why I'm showing you the images right away, because Perlman is absolutely a master of the Ochikuta, as you can see. He got some already near Persia in the early game. It was very hard for Red Phoenix to deal with them. Overall, it looked okay though, even though the city was under siege. We had a few warriors up, and we should be able to defend. But it was really well played by Cree here. In face, we had also Kolento going for early religion, so religion rush, and Red Phoenix had removed the Pantheon from Kolento for the floodplains, so it was a really good denier on his part to try to slow down the Egyptian player. Here's probably the play of the game. We're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to see some Cree scouts being hit by some warriors from Red Phoenix, trying to relieve the pressure from back 3 as well, his second city. Overall, all it will do is get the scouts to level 3, which gives, remind you, a promotion that gives plus 20 combat strength. And it was really catastrophic, as not only he saved the scout, got it level 3, but lost the warrior. And overall, it meant losing his first city, his second city. So already in the beginning, the Russian team was having a huge edge, and it really snowballed all the way, because this sim for all the players also was very solid. It was a transition towards generals, because that was what needed to be done on both sides for Red Phoenix and Pelman here. In the meantime, across the map, we can see, like, for instance, America here putting sim into place. It was very interesting to see how the players decided to play it, actually, because overall the Russians were ahead, but everyone was still quite solid. We had a Georgian walls here getting out for extra fate as well. You see the sim here for Egypt also putting up slowly his cultural setup. Interesting governor from Tordred on Rome, which went for Magnus, and the promotion to not lose population when he gets settlers out as well. Very interesting. Overall, the Golden Age finally arrived, and it was a relatively standard game with not much action beside the other front. You see the religious play here, Stonehenge being launched by Egypt as well to pursue his plan. To get some science through spreading religion, he's going to eventually spread to his ally Scotland as well, as we can see. We still got the Oracle got by Georgia, probably to remove it from Egypt. That was the play here. And some horses actually got produced for Mapuche here. So we're wondering where they were going to go and to see what's going to happen. You see here the apostle and missionary finally spreading, in which will actually help a lot Egypt because he lacked a bit of science on his side. The pressure for Palestine wasn't done over. We see here in Persia taking a beating, but eventually Red Phoenix will not only defend, but manage to push back actually on Palman, which will be the first small victory the Phillyboys will have this game. Very well played as well. Although during this time you can see, like, for other players, It was very getting beautiful here. The line parks and Mapuche line was just amazing. And you see that Mapuche for the Russian team, he also managed to do some pillage as well. So Phillyboys were put under pressure really left to right, even though it didn't seem that bad during the game either. Overall, Philly Boys and Red Phoenix was finally getting the city, and even though the Knights got out for Pelman, somehow Red Phoenix managed to still raise the city. So it was a minor victory for the Philly Boys here, which were keeping in this game by the help of the Palanque city state, which also giving lots of science. But facing them, they had so much gold being pummeled from the golden city state was very hard. Mahabodhi Temple got finished. We got the Eternal Preachers as well, taken by Egypt to try to spread even more, to gain even more science. So, and the Scotland sim was very solid, really. And by this time, we noticed that finally Palanque was getting out of hands for the Philly Boys. So they had to find the Russian team had to find a solution to try to counter it. Very good defense from Red Phoenix here, who managed to push back the Knights and not lose any more cities. So for now, it was stabilized, but really the Russians were starting to lead in every front with their culture, science, and military. It was very hard for you. They had to find some sort of solution. And even though Red Phoenix did an amazing job here, it just wasn't enough to try to put the balance back into their favor. You see here some model also pillaging American land. So again, another small victory for the Russian team. We got some planes finally technology produced. So there was a timer put on the game for the Philly Boys as well. So it was getting very difficult. And finally, when the cavalry managed to get Palanque and give it to Scotland, it removed the only city-state they really had to try to keep up and compete in the game. Alongside that, they finally lost a little bit ground on the front for Persia, and it was enough to motivate the CC, giving Nekst Vigraem the first victory onto this BO3. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe and so on. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time.